Well, good afternoon. Me again. After getting the bottom bracket out yesterday, I did a quick sand just to rough it up, and then yeah, I used to work in an auto body shop, and then this is what they do. Like when they do a sand, and then they just lightly lay down just random prime, and then the prime itself is just generic. Like this isn't anything fancy by any means, but this is and I basically covered, as you can see, everything. I'm not too worried about the fasteners, bottom bracket, or anything like this because I didn't tape anything off. I just lightly, ever so lightly dusted it. It looks a little heavy, but I can assure you it's not. And it's extremely windy today. So I'm basically just keeping this here the way it is. Like again, I've got to wet sand the bike, so but what I'm trying to do is wet sand it down to the point where I can pull these off, like all the original decals. I want to be able to try to pull the decals off with a heat gun, which basically means I have to sand it down enough to get under the gloss coat. And for this, yeah, so from the other thing is when you have those big heavy D-ring locks, like I'm talking about those heavy duty things, just remember that when you put it on your frame, it's gonna dent it and it's gonna scratch it. That's the other thing about locks. You got to be very careful. And again, you spend a lot of money on your mountain bikes, you know, you want to keep them in best condition possible. One thing I remember when I was a kid, I used to BMX, and and any kid who had money, they had this one here. They had a pad in here, basically to look after your junk. It was like a safety padding, and then they had a cross handlebar pattern right here, just so if you do an innuendo, you're not gonna hit the steel very hard. And then you also had a steer and stem pattern. So yeah, so basically this is, I'm just gonna leave it like this, and then eventually I'm gonna get around to, but fortunately this is not, like I've watched a ton of painting videos on how people do it, but after you work in an auto body shop, things are always different. Way different. Although if I can't get these original decals off, I'll just wet sand it, and then I'm gonna prime it, wet sand, prime, wet sand, prime, and then I'm gonna do the full coat. I'm not even too sure which color I want to go with this year. This, again, pistachio green just is not me. And again, I still need to get up here with a heat gun, get this off right here. That's brilliant. Like when they put this here is for the chain guard. So if you get too much oil, or if your chain slaps, it'll actually damage your paint as well. Just like this one right here. Like this bike is far from perfect, but it's gonna be better than what it was where I picked it up in that state. And again, like I'm not too worried about the brackets here, the crown. I'm not too worried about that. I'm going to be replacing those anyway. All these screws, not worried about it. I'm going to be replacing those. These right here, like basically all these fasteners here, I'm just gonna be replacing them anyway, so it's not a big deal. I'm just having fun. So yeah, so here's an update, and yeah, I've got a lot of organization to do here. This is something to be desired. The place we moved into, the folks here, they really enjoy going out bottle picking, and fortunately, it's a lot of money. Like you can walk into a depot with like $300-400, and yeah, you can make $300-400 every time you go in, and yeah. So that's the reason for all these recycles here. And then of course, I got my other stuff too, organized in here as well. But what I do need is some railroad ties, because these are a great idea, great design, except you can't really put them in the ground. Like they use like 6-inch stakes, I think. They use 3 per. But the thing is, it's not in anything solid. It's just basically into dirt. And well, this is what happens when you don't fasten these down well enough. But yeah, so here's an update. Again, I just briefly showed. Just lightly dusted it. Then when I come back to wet sand it, I'll know. Oh, and the reason for this, it's very important, because when you're doing a wet sand, you kind of need to know where you're at and where you've been. So say if I do all this, wet sand all the top here, and then I'm done for the day, and then when I come back, it's gonna show all this is gone, all nice and smooth, and then all this paint will still be left. So that's the difference between an auto body technician and a generic mountain bike paint job. There's science behind it to get the best results. Alright, well, I'll talk to you guys later. Alright, bye.